Hey guys, it's Maymay, and today we're going to make a card with this paper pad. But before we do that, I want to tell you about a event we're going to take part in as card makers. So if you're a card maker and you want to make cards to cheer people up, here's your opportunity. This event is called the Caring Hearts Card Drive, and it's a card drive where we collect cards to send to people in nursing homes to let them know that they are thought of and that someone is thinking about them this season or any season. You can make a card for any holiday, which is super cool. Now I'm going to leave a link to the blog post that explains all the information about the drive. It is not a drive that I'm heading up. It's just one that I want to be a part of. I do have a prize in the prize giveaway that they're doing, so you'll see all that listed on the website. So any questions you have, you'll be able to probably get them all answered from the blog post. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's for 3 different countries from what I can see: the US, the UK, and Australia. So head down there to the description box, click on the blog post to read all about it, and go ahead and start making cards and sending them in. I think it's super sweet. So I thought today we'd make a card since we're doing that. So we put this paper pad in the store recently, and this page was in the front of it, and I fell in love with it, and I knew I wanted to do something special with it, but I didn't know what. And last year, a card on Pinterest, it might have been 2 years ago, but a card on Pinterest got real popular, and it was the one, you may have seen it, with the leaf die cut, and the person had colored a fall scene in the background, and it was beautiful. And I thought, I'm not real good at scene drawing and stamping and things like that, but I could certainly let the paper do the work for me. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to attempt to make 4 cards from this 6x6 piece of paper. So what I've done is I've gone into my stash and I pulled out kind of a gray color. This page has more of a gray to it than like a tan, so I thought I'd kind of work with the gray tones. So I'm going to cut this paper, this one piece of cardstock, into 4 card fronts. So I'm cutting them down to 4 by 5 1/4. So they'll also have a little matte edge. That'll make more sense when we get to the end of the card. But so far, we're going to use one piece of 8.5 by 11 trimmed down. So I went into my stash and pulled out some circles. These are circle die cuts from a Doris set that I have. And I kind of laid it around to see what I thought was a pretty scene. And I love this scene here. And I really like this little area here. So I know I can get these 2 really cute scenes. But I think I can get 4. I think if I work it real hard, I can get 4. So we'll see. I also have another piece of this in the card pack too, so I can use it as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 2 circles this size and 2 circles this side from my card bases. But before I do that, I want to do a little treatment to my card mats to make them look really, really cute. So this stamp here is a big wooden background stamp. It's made by Do Crafts. We do have this in the store if you're interested. I'll put all the supplies below so I don't have to worry about saying that every time. So the supplies will be linked below. I'm going to use some rich cocoa ink, and I'm going to ink this guy up, but I'm actually going to turn it this way. And the reason is, as you can tell, I'm going to do wood grain on my card, but I want the wood grain to run up and down. So I'm just going to ink this whole guy with some rich cocoa ink from Memento. I'm using rich cocoa because I looked at the paper and it really doesn't have a black accent so much as it has a chocolate. So I'm working in these grays and this chocolate. So I thought my ink should probably match that. I'm just going to ink this whole guy up. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be rugged looking or rustic or distressed, but I'm going to try to get it as much as I can. So now I got it all inked up, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay a piece of paper on this side and just let that lay there like that. I'm going to take another one of the card bases. You could really do this before you even slice it in half, but I thought we'll just do it this way. Then I'm just going to lay some scrap paper over them so I don't get ink on my hands, and press them down just like this and pick up all that extra ink onto the scrap paper. Move it over, do this one. I'm not pressing that one again that I moved, by the way. Okay, then I'm going to pick these guys up, and you can see now we have this gray and chocolate wood grain paper, which I love. I love this stamp set for making backgrounds. It's just my favorite. So doing the same thing again. I would suggest you use a scrap paper that's big enough to cover the whole thing at one time, because I'm probably going to get some smearing doing it this way, but I'm not going to stress too much about it. See, there we go, more wood grain. All right, so I'm done with that. Now what I want to do is cut those circles in. And remember I said I was going to do the small one here and the large one on 2 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that through my Cuttlebug. So I've got my Cuttlebug out. This is my A and B plate there. I'm going to bring my card front over, and I'm going to eyeball center this guy. I'm not using my magnetic plates only because I didn't think about that. I could have here. This would be a good place for it. But I'm just going to kind of eyeball center that little piece on the front of the card, and then I'm going to run it through the Cuttlebug to cut that hole. So now we end up with this piece that we could totally use for another project. I'll remove this die, and you see we have a nice clean circle to show off one of those Christmas scenes. All right, so that's one. I'm going to go ahead and do all the other ones the very same way, but using two different dies. So I'll use this smaller die 2 times and the larger die 2 other times. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the paper and I'm going to put it underneath my little scene. This is the little scene I want. I just love this so much. And I'm trying to, you just kind of move it around and decide how much of it do you want. I kind of like the little bridge showing. And I love that cloud at the top, so I may even move it up even higher. So let's just see. So I've chosen this for my scene, and I'm taking a pencil and I'm making some little marks at these little edges of my circle so I'll know how much paper to cut. Now this is the perfect opportunity to make a shaker card. I'm not making shaker cards today because I want to show you how to do these quick and easy, but this is a good place to do it. All right, so I'm going to pull this away and now I'm going to cut this out. But I want to kind of salvage some of my paper. So you see where this little, I have my pencil mark here. What I'm going to do is cut just past it, just slightly past it. And I'm going to do the same thing at the other side mark that I made. So I've cut just past it, and now I'm going to go right up beside it, and I'm just barely leaving an edge. You're not going to see this, so it doesn't matter how straight it's cut. I just want to make sure I'm clearing that circle for when I adhere this together. So now I have this square, which we cut out for our scene, and then I have this, and I can glue this to the back, and look how cute that is going to be. I love it. Okay, I'm not going to glue that together yet. I'll show you why. I'm going to put that aside, and we're going to do the small one. Now for the small circle, I really wanted to get this little red house in because I think it is so cute, and that snowman. So I think I'm going to lay it something like that, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make my little marks, just like so. And then I'm going to cut that out just past those marks. So here we go. You could use your paper trimmer if you like, but again, you're not going to see this. It's going to be behind the circle, so it's not going to show. All right, so in doing that, this is what I've got left of that 6x6 paper. So this one is going to go right here, which is so stinking cute. Okay, let's put that one over there. Now I think I'm going to take this little scene that has the little guy with the dog and the 2 skating just like this. I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to use it. I think it'll be cute behind here. Make my little marks. I don't really need to cut except to one side, so I'm going to slice up here. Now this really only leaves me a little bit of the paper, and most of what I'm left with is kind of blank, so I'm not going to stress about that, but I am going to flip it over, and remember I can use these back sides for the red polka dot. So now I've got this one for this card, and then remember this pack came with 2 pieces of paper, so I still have this left over from something I did earlier, and I'm going to get another one out of this. Oh, that's super cute. I love that little scene. Perfect. Now I decided it'd be really cute to do some distressed inking around the edges. So this is some vintage photo ink, and you can do this part ahead of time, but I'm going to go around the edges and also the circle in the middle. So I'm just going to distress these edges a little bit just to make it a little more worn and rugged. So there's one all inked up. You probably can't tell it a whole lot, but I did a little inking around it. I'm going to do that to the other 3. So I got them all inked up, but I'm not going to ink the pictures themselves. I want them to be kind of crisp behind here. So I'm just going to put them back where they go, kind of line them back up. I still have my pencil marks there so I can erase them after I'm done. So now I'm going to take some glue and put it out here on these corners where it won't be shown on the circle, and that'll hold this piece in. I'm going to use my little pencil marks to line up where I wanted it in the first place. Just like that. Just stick that together. Look how pretty that is. I just love it. Come back here, and if I got any glue sticking out, get rid of that. So there's the back. Don't worry about that. That'll be on your card, just outside of that pencil mark, and then just stick this on. Again, I'm using my little pencil marks to help me line it up. And if you don't get it perfect, don't worry. You can erase those pencil marks if they show. Got a little one showing right there. All gone. All right, so there's the second one. I'm going to do the other 2 the same way. So now that I've got those glued up and ready to go, it is time to make our card bases. And this is just going to be an A2 size card, which if you're doing the Caring Hearts drive, that's kind of the size they suggest because it's just easy to ship. So I would suggest the cards that you make be that size, which is good because you can get, 2 card bases out of one piece of 8.5 by 11 paper, just like this. And you can get 4 card fronts if you do it like I did the other ones. So I got my 4 card bases here. I'm just creasing them down one more time. And I decided to use white, and I'll show you why. Notice how the snow sort of pops when I put it on that white trim on the outside. Even though that snow's not crisp white, it still pops, and I like the way that looks. So I'm going to glue these straight down. I'm not even going to use foam or anything. I know sometimes when we're shipping things to people, foam squares can cause packages to cost a little more. And since the Caring Hearts folks pay their own shipping, I thought I would do it as flat as I could. And remind you guys too that if you want to donate to help with the shipping costs, you can always do that. And the information for that is in the blog post as well. Look how cute that card is. I love it. All right, let's do the next one. Now for the sentiment on the card, I'm going to utilize these pieces that I cut out just because I don't want to waste them, and I'm going to turn them into something else. I'm using 2 sentiments from my stamp set, which is called Memory Lane, and I'm using the one that says Holidays Lead You Down Memory Lane and Sending Loads of Holiday Wishes. I think this will be super cute, so let's stamp it. Now I probably could stamp it with that same chocolate ink, but I'm going to go ahead and use my VersaFine Onyx Black just because I love how it looks for sentiment stamps. I just think it's so pretty. So there's that one. I think I can get 2 on here. I'm going to be cutting this out into a square or rectangle shape, but I didn't want to waste that paper, and it already matches our background, so I thought it would work cool. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 of these. So I've cut my sentiments out, and remember how I told you that I still had this red paper and I didn't want to waste it? I'm going to use it for the trim around my sentiments. I'm just going to find a spot where I can glue it down and still get some of that red showing, and then I know it's the perfect red to match my paper as well. So I'm going to glue this down to the red, and I'm not going to worry about trimming it just yet. I'm going to trim it in a second. Okay, so I got 3 on that one, and I bet I can get 1 here. Nope, let's use this one. We won't even have to waste anything hardly. Now I'm going to use my Perfect Mini Layers, and I left about 1/8 of an inch on the other side, so I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to line this up and use that just like that to trim these guys out. Now you could do this on your trimmer, you could do this by hand with your scissors, you could do this with a ruler and an X-Acto knife, but if you have the Perfect Layers, this works out perfect for that. All right, now let's do all of these guys. Now here's my thought for these because I think this will be really cute. I'm going to put these on an angle like this, and then I'm going to try my hand at drawing a little line to look like it's hanging from a nail. Again, I'm trying not to have too much dimension on these just to save money on postage. So I'm going to put this one here like that on all of them. I'm going to put them on a little angle. I'm going to use my black Uniball pen for it, but I want to show you what I might do first. If you're nervous, go ahead and do it with your pencil. So I'm going to draw a circle here, and then I'm just going to bring a little line up and bring a little line out, and I want it to look like a sign that's hanging on a nail. So I'm going to color that little nail in, and then come right where I did my little line, right where I did it on this side. And you might even want to put a little dot to make it look like it's attached. But then it looks like a little sign hanging on a piece of wood. I think that's cute. So I'm going to do that to the other ones. Then we'll make this one a little taller. So a nail like that. And then holding our little sign in place, let me color that nail in. Perfect. So there's the front of our cards. Now I want to stamp on the inside. So I have this stamp from my Celebrate the Season stamp set. It's a pretty big one, and it's a little sentiment about Christmas. I'm going to stamp it on real quick, and I'll read to you what it says. It's a poem. It was actually written by my mother, so I love this stamp set. I'm using it a lot, too. I'm really, really happy to have it on so many cards this year. So there we go, and I'm going to stamp it here in the top center. And this says, houses are glowing with friends and with kin, church bells are ringing, peace to all men, children are dressed as shepherds and kings, singing songs of silent nights and angels on wing. So I'm going to stamp that in each one because I think it really works with the scene, you know, like the houses. So I have that one. I'm going to go ahead and do the other ones. Then from that same stamp set, I'm going to pull the big one that says Merry Christmas. Not the big Merry Christmas, the smaller Merry Christmas, I should say. And I'm going to stamp Merry Christmas inside. Now you can do these cards for any occasion. It does not have to be Christmas. You can read about that on the blog post, and you can put any sentiment you want. You may not want to put something about houses and scenes and things like that, depending on who you're sending the card to. And for the people in the nursing home, it might even be sweeter just to write a handwritten note instead of a sentiment, but you can just do a stamp inside. I just think this sentiment works with that scene so well. All right, so that is 4 cards. Now the other thing I want to tell you is, in these 4 cards, we have 2 pieces of paper for our bases, 1 piece of paper for our mats, 1.5 pieces for our scenes, and then we use scraps of those same pages for this, so that didn't add any, and then we just use some stamp sets. So this is a really quick, very low product card project. You didn't have to pull much out of your stash. So I hope you guys try this out. I just love how these look. I love that wood grain anyway. It's one of my favorites, and I think it turned out really cute. All right, guys, I really hope you can get involved in the card drive. And again, if you want to make birthday cards or Valentine cards, you name it, you make the card and you can send it in and they will get delivered to sweet people that need to hear that they are thought of for every holiday. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.